So, what we wanted to get across is that your formative assessment doesn't always have to be something that's pencil and paper or just a quick exit slip out the door. We wanted to show you some other activities that we've been doing.
We're going to put on your tables. What we're going to do, today we're going to work with your partner. So the person that you're sitting with, you're kind of going to move around the room with them today. Remember on the first day of school how we did some rotating around? See, we're going to do the same sort of thing, just a little bit different. When you get your cards, you can go ahead and unpaper clip them.
In the middle of classes, we have these task cards. So, not a huge fan of a lot of worksheets if we can avoid them. So these task cards, we have, I think there's 36 of them in a set, close to that number. I put them in groups of 4, so you get 4 task cards per group. Around my room, my kids are in different groups. They're working in partners because my classes are kind of small this semester. And I give them 4 minutes to work together with their partner at each station. At the end of that 4 minutes, they rotate to the next station. So on and so forth. So I believe I had 9 rotations in that block, so it took about 35 to 40 minutes, of transition time, explanation, and whatnot. But it was a good way for them to work in a low-stress environment and be able to really zone in on what they know and what they need help on. So I know this one way I do it, and she does it a different way in her room.
During jacket time, actually, I use this more as a pre-assessment formatively, and I don't set them up in pods at all, like little clusters. What I do is I stick them each on individual desks, and they just rotate, and it's like Pavlov's dog. Every time the bell rings, they move to the next thing. I give them 30 seconds to complete each task. They move throughout the room, and regardless of how we do it, we end up with this product where the kids are filling in their information for every single task, and they are showing us that they do understand. And if they're leaving stuff blank, then we're getting a red flag saying, okay, we need to go back through it.
Had done in the little practice thing. You're going to get your two dice. You're going to roll them. Let's say it pops up usted and enseñar. Let's imagine that we have that here. So I know that I'm going to create a sentence. So I'm going to write usted. Then I'm going to conjugate enseñar for usted, which is enseña. And then you are going to finish the sentence. And I expect it to be a Spanish 2-level sentence. G, I'm not sure what's on your computer, but it's not me. Thanks, sir. So I want it to be a level 2 sentence. I don't want you to just say, I eat cookies. I eat cookies after dinner. I eat cookies every day, but throw in that extra vocabulary, okay? You and your partner are working with one piece of paper, so you don't need to each write it down. You're working on one sheet of paper. I need 10 sentences
and it really works out.
Mm-hmm. Another activity you'll see in both of our videos today is cubes. So Mitzi's going to explain how we do that. And we do that differently too. And what we're trying to also show is just because we're doing similar activities doesn't mean we need to do them the same way. We each make it our own.
So my kids, at first they have a verb cube. Sorry, that's upside down. But each side has a different Spanish verb that we're reviewing. I do pick the 6 verbs that I want them to use. I choose verbs that they don't always use in conversation or the verbs that they struggle with. And then they have a number cube. Okay, so each number is connected to a subject. So they roll a number. Let's say they get the number 2, right? And then they roll a verb and they get the verb ir. Okay, so I think this is actually the example I used in my class today. But they have to create a sentence with the subject that matches up with the 2, and then with ir, which is the verb to go. I tell my kids, since it's Spanish 2 and it's review, they need to create a Spanish 2 sentence. They're working with their seat partner together. I get some questions on, hey, how do I say this? How do I spell this? But what I'm really looking for is how can you form those sentences? I'm looking at your sentence structure. Spelling is something we can work on as the semester goes through, but I want to see what's your level of vocab knowledge? What does your grammar structure look like? And I have my kids go through. Today we didn't have a ton of time at the end. I wanted them to get through 10 sentences. Most groups only got through 6 to 8 sentences. However, they did provide Spanish 2 sentences. They gave me details of who, what, when, where, and that's what I was looking for. So it's in theory, it's totally random. You have the kids roll the cubes and they get a random combination of a verb and a subject. That way it's not all the same. I dance, I sing, I need a pencil. They have to talk about other people, not just...
Other ways that we try to just have fun with them while assessing what they're knowing, we play Connect 4. And as you can see, the students are practicing their conjugations, but they're just doing it in a fun way instead of just fill in the blank with, a worksheet.
To build on that, they verbal and written. So we have them write things down, and their conjugations down, and then we have them say them out loud. So they're getting both of those things in one practice.
And same thing with this one. We play Battleship. where we make them conjugate all of their verbs at the top, but then when they're playing and actually trying to sync each other's ships, they are saying tú escribes, and they have to see if they have it or not. So they're listening, they're practicing their listening, they're practicing their speaking, and they've already practiced their writing. Other activities that aren't necessarily game-wise, but we do a lot of where they interview each other, they interview people around the room, and then they have to take that knowledge that they learned, so this is practicing that interpersonal skill, and they have to write a paragraph to submit to us. And so we're seeing, are they understanding their partner? Are they asking the right questions? That type of information. But then we're seeing how they process that information and put it into a third person where they're communicating about the people that they interviewed. And it really gives us a chance to meticulously look at grammar and things like that. But again, it's not just here, write what you learned or what questions do you have. It's very specific to what we're looking for.